And now, more Utalk. Now,
I'm Steve. Our guest on the show today will be chatting with Sophie Nystuen. She's a senior in high school. You heard me right. Who's a published artist. I didn't say author, I said artist. And I don't know if we'll have time to talk about that. She is a speaker. In fact, she's keynoting. She's a keynote speaker in just a couple of months at a mental health conference on the East Coast. She is the CEO, in other words, the boss of her own business. She's leader of a group called Sharp, which we hope to be able to unpack on the show today. And she has something that really got our attention. And that's where we want to land on the show today. I think it's such a hugely good, great resource. Sophie, welcome to Utalk.
Hi, it's so nice to see everyone.
I know, really. We talked on the phone, and seen stuff online, but it's good to see you face to face. Thanks for taking time to be with us.
Yeah.
I'm stoked about everything you're doing. You know what? When I think I'm reading this stuff, and I didn't even read all of it, I didn't put all of it in there because we don't have time, but I'm going, this girl is crazy busy. I mean, do you ever sleep?
Yeah, actually, I think we do some of our best thinking when we're sleeping.
I think you're right. Do you have those moments where it's like you wake up going, oh, wait a minute, and I have to keep something close to my bed so I can make notes or whatever, just because I don't want to lose it,
Yes.
Oh, it's so cool. I mean, my question, I guess, for you, from one busy person to another, how do you stay focused and balanced?
I try to kind of find things that ground me.
Okay.
Take little moments out of the day to appreciate the things I have and look forward to the things that I'm doing.
Kind of an attitude of gratitude and then forward thinking. And what's cool is to have things that you're looking forward to doing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't think that's true for everybody. But maybe we can shed some light on some things on the show today, especially when we get to talk about your website, Breathe. But before we jump to that, you're doing all kinds of things, community service, and we don't have time to talk about all, but a couple things stuck with me when I read about them. It's something called Before the First Frost. What is that?
Yeah, so every year my family and I we live in Boston, we have very cold winters, and so we go out to the parks, downtown Boston, and we'll go with a bunch of sweaters, blankets, whatever we can find, and we'll just give it out to anyone who needs it. Usually homeless people.
Yeah.
Then we'll go and buy some more and do it again.
That is so awesome. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, you said, and it's cold there, and I know we're wimp, in Southern California. I mean, we don't have cold. You have cold. And people will tell me that, friends on the East Coast go, you guys are a bunch of wimps. You don't even know what cold is. But I can't imagine somebody being homeless and living on the streets of Boston. I love Boston. It's a great city. There's a place called Little Italy there that I love. There's a pizza place there that is, it is so nice.
Yeah.
But that's for another conversation. So you just, basically, you and your family just grab stuff and then you just walk around and hand stuff out. And that's awesome. That really is because... Yeah, I don't know. The homeless thing is another conversation, but it doesn't seem like anybody should have to live homeless in this country.
Yeah.
And we do we were talking about this on the phone earlier this week. We do an outreach, an event for homeless teens in Hollywood, and we had to stop because of COVID, so we're hoping to reignite that. But it just breaks my heart to see that. Okay, another community service that is close to home for you, the Pink Agenda.
Yeah. My company, it's a nail polish company, if you weren't aware. I specifically partnered with the Pink Agenda because they help breast cancer awareness. And in 2021, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. So it's a very close topic to me, and really wanted to do something in that area. And that felt like the best thing I could do. So partnering with them was amazing. And we hope to continue the partnership.
What does that partnership look like?
So I can custom make colors, and I made them a very bright pink. It's very pretty. And I donate them to their events, fundraisers, galas, whatever it is. And they use it to raise awareness and raise money for the cause.
That's cool. Okay, now the question begs to be answered. Okay, you're the CEO, you're the boss, but I mean, you're like a senior in high school. Where did this come from? I mean, how? Because it's called Sky in Ivy. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Also, I'm a junior in high school.
Oh, excuse me, junior.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, no, I started this like the summer of COVID. Me and my best friend Gigi, we didn't really have anything to do, and we started thinking about things we love to do, and nail polish was one of our favorite things that we couldn't do in COVID because quarantine.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we kind of took inspiration. We delved deep into the internet, finding how to make like a good formula, and then I developed the website.
That's cool. It's practical. You answered a question for me because I was going to say, the typical word we always use is Google it, So you guys go deep in it. I mean, and you find this, and do you manufacture it at home? Do you guys have a place you use, or what do you do?
Yeah, I make it right. I used to make it right in the kitchen. Now it's a bit safer. It's in a different area, still at home, but yeah, there's no warehouse.
Okay. It's just Sophie's house, all right? Yeah. Is that what it is? All right, if somebody wants to find out more about this, where's the best place to go?
Yeah, go to www.skyandivy.com. Okay. It has every single color you could imagine and more.
And you also are on Instagram, aren't you?
Yeah, that's sky.n.ivy.
Okay, we'll make sure we'll put that in the notes for this show. So, and I encourage people to check it out. And you said you make custom colors. I mean, like if somebody reaches out to you and says, hey, I want a combination of these colors, you're open to considering it?
Definitely. I've been told I have like an eye for colors. My mom was the beta tester. She'd pull up a color from a sweater that she loved, and I'd make it into a nail polish.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I could sit here and ask you more questions because I'm a learner. I find out stuff, and even if it's not necessarily something I would get involved in, I'm curious, but I do want to get to breathe. But before we do, there's one other thing I wanted to touch on with you, and it's going back to the phone conversation we had a couple days ago. I have been thinking of you ever since the conversation, ever since we connected, as kind of an active change maker. You're just in. Again, we can't, I keep saying this, but it's true. We may have to have you come back on the show just because there's so much to talk about.
Right.
Things that you initiated on campus. And, it's awesome. You're making a change or making a difference. It's like you see a need and you do something about it, which I hope as people are catching this show, whether they're watching it or listening to it, you will kind of get inspired by Sophie, because I was encouraged, just reading the story and being able to talk with you and everything else. But we were talking on the phone about a situation with a homeless man, and he wasn't able to get something to eat at a cafe or restaurant, or he couldn't get something to drink. Share that. I mean, it's just a cool story, and your whole attitude.
Yeah. So my mom remembers it a little better than I do because I was, I want to say 6 or 7 at the time.
No!
Yeah, but this is the story that she tells. And me and my brother and my mom, we went to this diner downtown Boston, and there was this homeless man that came up to my mom, and he was just asking for the simplest thing. It was a hot dog. And before my mom got the chance to talk to him or anything, the woman at the counter started yelling. And my brother, he ran out, gave him his food, and we left. We left the diner. But I think when I got home, I started to think about, what is he going to do for dinner? It's going to be really cold tonight. What's he going to do for tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I started thinking about long-term things, and I started wanting to make more solutions.
I love that. We need to stop talking about all the problems.
Yeah.
And pointing them out. And I lose patience sometimes because it's like, you know what? I'm tired of hearing about all of it. When are we going to do something about it? And sometimes it's the simplest thing. I was up speaking at some events in Northern California, which is where I'm from, the San Francisco Bay Area. And I went by and grabbed my mom. My mom loves San Francisco. And I said, how about if I take you to lunch, up in San Francisco? Yeah. Oh, I would love that. We're talking, driving up there and all. And so we go to Fisherman's Wharf. And I just noticed trash everywhere. And this isn't the Fisherman's Wharf that I grew up with and I loved. And I started picking up trash. And people are like backing away from me, like this guy is like, what's wrong with this guy, And I'm throwing it away. And a couple people said, what are you doing? I said, picking up trash. Why? I said, because this place shouldn't be like this. And then I just said, if every one of us picked up one piece of trash, probably wouldn't be a whole lot left out here right now.
Yeah.
So it's the simple things, and the solutions. And I'm so glad that you have that mentality. And I hope people that are catching the show are grabbing a hold of this, saying, I could do that. And we can talk more about that a little bit later in the show. I want to get to Breathe so we don't run out of time, and maybe we can come back to something called Sharp that you're involved in. You're involved in a number of leadership things, which is so cool. And that's what we're all about with Utalk is one of the big things is we want to encourage you as young adults to make a difference. And we want to help you do that. And that's another conversation. But I was reading a report in the Washington Post about American girls being in a crisis. And it really got my attention. I mean, there were stark findings on the pervasive sadness, suicidal thoughts, sexual violence that is being endured by teen girls in America. I think I've got the stats right. It's like 1 in 3 have thought about suicide. 14% have been forced to have sex, which is horrible. And I think 6 in 10 girls are so persistently sad and just hopeless that they've stopped doing regular activities. And right there in the article is your picture and information about your website, Breathe. And believe it or not, I screenshotted it when it came out because I thought, this is somebody that we need to talk to. We need to get to know her. And here you are, which is amazing. So Breathe, tell us what Breathe is. And I want to know, because I don't know, how did it come about?
Yeah. So Breathe is a website for anyone to talk about, or really to write about, a difficult or traumatic situation. It's completely anonymous. Really, it's very simple. You write and you submit it and it's done. That's really what it is. It's just a writing form. It's cathartic release. And kind of how it came about was last year when I was in 10th grade, I got really anxious really easily. I was overthinking a lot. It was just a combination of things, but I started writing. I started writing on a Google Doc, and it really helped me. And then I took this summer class at Harvard. It was called Birth Control. It was about reproductive rights and sterilization abuse, and it was a whole load of stuff. And I loved it. I loved the class. It was informative.
Sounds like it was informative.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. But it was so scary because I was constantly reminded that there was someone out there who went through this. So my kind of wanting to help was creating a solution like Breathe was what really motivated me. Yeah.
Now, you know what I think is interesting, the little I know about Breathe, it's interesting to hear the backstory, really, for me, just as I've gotten to know you and what you're all about and who you are. But people can write anonymously, and I'm assuming they can write as much as they want to write, and they post it. And then people can view it, they can read it, but they can't comment on it. Is that correct?
That's correct. If you so choose to, you can have your writing published on Breathe. You can also just send it just to me. And if you want to publish it, there are people who could view it, and people can heart it, but that's it. There's no comments. There's sort of interaction. Mm-hmm. It's really supposed to create a community and feel like you're a little less alone. in whatever you went through.
So needed. So needed. And apparently, based on this study that was done and talked about in the Washington Post and other places, the crisis among girls today is, and the mental health problems in our culture, just not with just girls, but guys. Now, could a guy go on Breathe and also write?
Of course. There's no filter. We don't track demographics.
Okay.
Nothing. No identifiers.
What I like is you've taken it a step further, because you hear people talk about journaling, get a journal, and which is what you were doing with the Google Doc.
Yeah.
Set up a Google Doc and just write what's inside of you and put it on there. And there's a relief when I have not been consistent journaling. So, okay, true confession. But I know that it does help when you, and I'm an author too, so it does help when you write things. It gives you another perspective. It's almost like it's freeing. It's almost like you take that deep breath and go,
yeah,
it's out. It's out there. I like the whole concept. And give us the website. We need to do that a couple times, because I know there's people watching and listening right now who are going, I got to go to Breathe. So how do we go to Breathe?
So you would just you can Google Breathe Safe Space. It should pop up immediately. That's the URL, Breathe Safe Space.
Okay. And that's a .com?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And I'm going to ask you again for that, and we will put it in the notes, just because I think it's so imperative.
Yeah.
There are people that want to talk. They want people to listen, and especially young adults. I was invited to an event here in Southern California, and it was for high school students, and it was an open mic advocacy night. And you could do spoken word, you could sing, you could do a drama, you could read a little message you put together, whatever. And the theme was, tell us through whatever means you want to, what concerns you the most, what bothers you the most about life and about the way things are happening. And every single person on that stage, every single high school student, basically ended up with the same conclusion. They said, adults don't care about us because they don't listen to us.
Wow.
And in a sense, that's what Breathe is. There's a community, as you said, of people who are listening with their eyes as you pour your heart out. And it's such a powerful tool. Props to you for doing it and coming up with that. But what's interesting is you did it out of personal experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't like going through some checklist or Google, how could I make a difference? No, this is your heart. This is you. And it came out of you so you could share it with others. Do you have any idea? Now, do you read every single entry?
Yes. Screening. I do have to make sure that no one puts their age, location, or name and says, because then I would legally have to report it.
Yeah.
But no one's done that yet, luckily. I also screen for threats. But other than that, anything really goes.
That's great, though. I mean, we have to have a safe space. What a great concept. We have to have a safe space where we can go and we can pour our heart out. As I mentioned in our phone conversation, I go and do school assemblies, and it's draining, like you said, for you as you read these, because I'll have a line of students who are they're wanting to pour their heart out, and I found more and more that I'll say to them, let's step away from the line, stay here, but we're going to go over here just so everybody's not hearing what they're pouring their heart out with. Is there without going too deep, is there a common thread, or what are some of the top things that people are talking about, they're writing about?
Yeah, I would say definitely towards the beginning. I think still now the most common theme is sexual assault. And then next to that, I would say suicidal thoughts, depression, loneliness, common things. Yeah.
Which doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
And going back to the stats that I found in that article, 14% of teen girls have been forced to have sex. Let's jump to SHARP and then come back. What's the acronym stand for?
I feel so bad because I didn't create the acronym, so
Okay.
not 100% sure, but it's something along the lines of sexual harassment awareness, something like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what I read. Sexual harassment, assault, and I forgot. And then prevention, I think, was the P. So
Close enough.
you've been involved in this. I think your bio said you were a leader for it.
Yes. My senior year, I'm going to be a leader.
What does that look like? What does it mean to be a leader?
So, this year it was kind of more watching them. And then we are working on ways to get my high school peers more involved.
Okay.
And we're currently talking about doing lessons on rape culture, stigma, gender biases, media, kind of different topics, and have discussions with our peers to create more awareness, education, and just more general concepts of what rape culture is.
And does rape culture, would you include in that bullying?
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, it seems to me that it is. You got somebody who's bullying somebody else, and assaulting them sexually. Now, how do you guys see accomplishing this? Is it like having open discussions on campus? Just maybe there's a room there at lunchtime or whatever, or have you really thought more beyond that?
Yeah, as far as reporting goes, I think that's our biggest obstacle, is getting other teenagers to report when something happens. We are trying to raise more awareness about how someone can report, and we're actually trying to shift our school policies because they have not successfully worked in the past. So we're trying to shift them to be more survivor friendly, as we call it. That's what we're working on right now.
No, that's great. Is this something that is becoming more common? I haven't seen, obviously I get the sexual assault because I'm on campuses and I know what's going on. I haven't seen this side of it, though, of students coming together saying, let's do something about this.
Yeah, no, this has been, at least at my school, it's been around for a good amount of time. However, we haven't been able to shift a lot of school policies, which is what I think would be most prevalent.
Yeah. Well, and to me, it's a hard thing, too, because of the repercussions. If you report that you have been assaulted, raped, whatever, well, then the assaulter is going to find out, and, there's a safety. It's more complicated, I think, than we realize.
Yeah, no, definitely. Even outside of minors in schools, all the steps you have to go through in the school just to go to the police. If you think about it, like an adult, most cases don't even make it to the court.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to encourage someone to report it when they know the statistics and the likelihood that they'll even get any conviction.
Yeah, and that stinks. That really stinks. It makes my Italian blood boil, because the safety factor, and you're afraid. And I think I don't know if this is a good comparison, but, with mental health, there's always that stigma. What's somebody going to say if they find out that I've got a lot of anxiety, or, I've got a lot of depression or whatever. What are people going to think if they find out I was assaulted, if I was raped? Is that part of this whole equation? I
think that's a huge part. A lot of people that have come into SHARP honestly are scared that no one's going to believe them. And, I've heard people say, well, did that even really happen? There's no proof. And there's a lot of judgment in peers themselves. So I think it's super hard to talk about it.
I can only imagine. So does Sharp meet then on a regular basis, and other students know I can go to Sharp? Is that the idea?
Yeah. We have it's a club. We have club meetings.
Okay.
We mainly work where there's a school-wide event. There's something called a Day of Change. Our school has a lot of days of.
Okay.
And our club leads the Day of Change, and the Day of Change mainly brings awareness about sexual assault and harassment. And there is when we have an actual safe place for survivors or anyone who feels very uncomfortable to go and talk to one of us.
That's awesome. I take it's probably a bigger issue than we realize.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
I would say that's 100% true because, I mean, if you think about all the people who haven't even said anything.
Well, and that's got to be humiliating. I haven't been in the position, but somebody comes forward, that has been assaulted in whatever form. And then people are going, it never happened. Dude, that never happened. I'm sorry. That just didn't happen. And it seems to me that here comes the thing of going back into yourself and retreating. And again, I come back to Breathe being a safe space. And that's so powerful. Going back to Breathe, you said you check things over, because you can obviously, and that's got to be draining on you. That has got to be. Are you the only one that reviews the stuff?
I review stuff, and if I see something that I think is iffy, I'll run it past my mom first.
Okay.
And it hasn't gotten to the point where I'm getting like 1 million a day.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it is just me and then my mom if I need her.
That's great. And I know she's a big fan of yours, a big supporter of yours, which is awesome. If you see something, you're reading something, and the public views it, but they can't respond. Can you respond to that person?
No, I can't. Yeah.
Is that on purpose then? I guess that would be talk about overloaded and overwhelming. If it's got to be emotionally charged when you're reading these things, but then if you've got to start responding, and then the time, that could be all consuming.
Yeah, I think a great thing is that I don't have to respond, because if I did have to, I'd have to say I'm so sorry to so many people. I don't even think that would help, honestly. I think it's set up so that a response is not what most people need. Most people just, like you said, want to be heard. They just want to be listened.
That is so needed. I keep saying that, but it's really true. If everybody, and again, those of you that are watching, you're listening, if you have a friend who you sense something going on and maybe they haven't even shared with you, tell them about Breathe.
Yeah.
Really,
definitely.
Tell them about Breathe, because it's a safe place to go, safe space, and if it helps, maybe it's not some huge life-changing thing that happens, but it helps just a little.
Yeah, it's just the start.
Just the start. It's been said, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step.
Exactly.
And we're just. I like to say when I do my school assemblies, and I'm talking about choices, we're all just a choice away from a different life.
I love that.
It's just one choice that can totally change us and change the direction of our life. And in this case, one choice to go to Breathe. Give us the website again, please.
Yes, of course. It's breathesafespace.com.
Okay. breathesafespace.com. I think it's crucial that we get this out because I'm not aware of anything else like this.
Yeah.
And I would like we need to talk at Utalk and just see how we can help get the word out more, because I am so glad, so glad. And to me, it's brilliant that you set it up where people can't respond. Because let's face it, we live in a very mean culture. In fact, we started something, and we still haven't totally unpacked it at Utalk, but we call it #goodbye, 2 mean.
Wow.
hashtag goodbye to mean. And we actually had a situation out here in our community where we had 4 students and a beloved teacher kill themselves in the first 10 days of school.
Oh, wow.
And Sophie, it just broke my heart, and a long story short, because I want to stay focused on Breathe, but we ended up, I said to our crew, we got to do something, The school district answer was bring a psychologist, and we've got a psychologist friend that's part of Utalk. Yeah. So they're great and helpful, but this lady got up for 25 minutes and she's just throwing, charts up there. And finally she goes, hey, great to be with you guys. And there's free Starbucks in the back. And I'm looking around the auditorium going, these students and parents look like they've been slammed against the wall. So we came up with this idea of just hashtag goodbye to mean. We had it at the community center one night for students, one night for parents. And it was such a powerful time. The student thing, I'll just talk about that real quick. I mean, when students sitting in this auditorium realized they could trust us because there was no program. It was just about, hey guys, come and just talk to us, just share. We're here to listen. And when they realized we would do this, I mean, they're climbing all over each other for 2.5 hours, just pouring themselves out, And it was all about listening. And we didn't say a whole lot. We made some comments to try to move them along so they would come to a positive conclusion.
Yeah.
But the Breathe is so huge because here you can come in and, I mean, let's face it, I've lost track how many students I've read about who have taken their own life because they were bullied on social media.
Yeah.
And here I could see that happening with a site like Breathe. Oh, this never happened. Like you said, oh, come on, get a life, blah, 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 blah. But it's so healing. And it's like calming, and you're putting this rinse or something on you that lets you just breathe. That concept, the word breathe. I mean, how relevant is that? You type away and put this on there.
Yeah.
I'm really encouraged. I don't want to use the word impress because you didn't do it to impress anybody. You did it to help somebody, and it helped you, and you knew it would help others. When we think about that, I mean, gosh, we could take a whole show and talk about all the mess in our culture. I just don't get it. I say to friends, I don't get this. I don't get the racial tension. I don't get the bullying. I don't get the, and of course, part of it is I'm a big guy, so few people are going to try to bully me, but, where do we start? I mean, and that's what I love about your attitude is you see something, you do something, What's one thing we can do as individuals to develop that mindset? Because it's huge.
Yeah, it's definitely huge. And it's hard to think kind of like that. I kind of had to force myself to think like that. Mm-hmm. You kind of have to, learn to don't take no for an answer when you're trying to do something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Say that again, because that's huge.
Yeah. When I was emailing the Washington Post, I emailed about 30 editors before I heard from one. And all it took was one. And now I have 1 million people on my website. So,
are you really?
Yeah.
That is so cool.
A lot of private posts. But it's amazing, and you have to kind of learn to be persistent. You have to know what you want. And I'd just say start small. Figure out a problem that you see. It can be so small. It can be inside your own home. And fix it. Just do it. Take the initiative.
Nice. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
I mean, it really isn't. And I love what you just said. Fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we should put that somewhere where we see it every day, put it on the screen of our phone or, our laptop or whatever. Fix it. I like that phrase. I mean, that's what it's all about. Let's stop talking about it. I'm so tired of it. My opinion is we're not going to get it fixed unless young adults do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, there's some great older adults and people doing some cool stuff and all that. But I really think if you look at historically, any major movement throughout history has been young adults. It always goes back. And I want to do more research on it. And some were not good situations, but a lot of them were positive situations. And you keep looking at this, Fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd make a great t-shirt, hoodie or something. Fix it. But it's true.
Fix it.
And I appreciate what you're saying, even in your own home. Okay, there's something wrong there, something going on, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Fix it.
Just even if it doesn't fix everything, find a solution. Find some small way to make it better.
And small ways add up to big things. He's no longer on the planet, but I had a mentor named Gene, and he always, I talked to him, he lived in Oklahoma, I talked to him on the phone or whatever, and I'd see him, and his phrase was always, Steve, poco a poco, little by little. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget that. That's one of the most, he's shared so many powerful things with me, but that's what it is. Find a solution. And we're capable of it, but sometimes I wonder, do we really want a solution? Or does it feed something within us to be able to keep talking about this problem, instead of doing something? And I'm a fixer too. Yeah. I'm pragmatic, and it's like, I don't want to hear about it anymore. Do something about it. Don't come back to me and whine. I'm here to help you if you want, but fix it.
Yeah.
I'm going to start using that.
I know. I'm going to start using it too.
No, that is so cool. It really is. Oh, there's so much more we could talk about. And we'll have to have you back on Utalk if you're willing to come on sometime.
Of course. I'd love to come.
Continue our conversation. How do people follow you again? How do they, with Sky and Ivy and Breathe? Those are the two best ways to track with you, right?
So Sky and Ivy, best way would be www.skyandivy.com.
Okay. All right.
And then Breathe Safe Space, that's Breathe's website.
And that's breathesafespace.com.
Both of them are .com.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And if you need to email me, the best email would be breathe.safe.space@gmail.com.
Give it to us again, please.
Yeah, of course. breathe.safe.space@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Sophie. This has been so cool. I enjoyed this conversation with you. Super helpful. And I want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. Let us know how we can be of help to you at Utalk, if we can. And we'll try to put the word out about what you're doing, especially with Breathe, but certainly Sky and Ivy as well. I can just imagine, it would be fun to talk to some of the people who have already gone on Breathe and they have written something. It wouldn't be possible, obviously. Well, it could be, but you're not set up to be able to do that. And plus, that's just a whole nother thing to have to deal with. But it would be interesting to talk to them and find out, the difference it made.
I think, even if you look at some of the more recent posts, some people have reported saying that they felt better. But we're going to figure out some sort of way for people to maybe email me if they want to talk about it more, if they ever want to come on something like this. And
absolutely. If you have somebody that you think we should have as a guest, we welcome that. Thank you for developing that. Thank you for the motivation to do that. Keep in touch with us and let us know what you're doing. One more time, give us those two websites and the email just so people have it.
So skyandivy.com and breathesafespace.com. And my Gmail is breathe.safe.space@gmail.com.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for taking the time. We're very, very grateful. It's great to get to know you. We'll look forward to having you on again and hearing more about what you're doing. And keep in touch.
Yeah, thank you so much.
This is Utalk Radio.